Okay, I guess we'll start. Just a second, I'm setting up my phone. Display shouldn't turn off on its own. Okay, I guess we'll start. Today's topic, we will talk about the 4 questions your child wants to ask you. I'll do it for them. The reason I gave it this title is because really the children have way more than 4 questions, but I was trying to compress it and to make it easier to understand. But first I want to quickly introduce myself for those of you who don't know me. Why is this topic, why was I compelled to talk about this topic? Is because for the last 17 years or so, I am dealing with teens. Mainly boys, teenagers that are struggling, trying to find themselves. I work with them hands-on, one-on-one. We have many different programs that I do with them in Muncie, where I live. So I'm out there with the kids, and I hear their questions and I see what's going on in their mind. So I think it's very important for all of us, parents, to understand what's happening in the mind of our child as much as we can, to make it easier for us to know what to tell them, what not to tell them, how to connect to them, and how to have a better relationship. The most important part of these conversations that our children would want to have with us is the most difficult for them to actually reach out to us. Many of us feel that we have a relationship, our child comes home from school, even the kids, the younger kids coming home, the 10-year-olds, the 9-year-olds, boys and girls are coming from school, and the mommy asked them, the tati, how was your day? Oh, it was great, phenomenal. Yeah, your test, I had a test today. Yes, it was amazing. You got a 70, you got a 90. Wow, great, amazing. That's not a relationship. We don't really know what's going on in their brain. I was talking to a manal outside before there, someone that's a manal of one of the big Hasidic Talmud Torahs in Borough Park, and an elder guy, Eltrit. And I asked him, how do you see the world now? You're being a manal already for so many years. What did you change? Did you change anything in the last? He's a manal for 30, 40 years. He tells me, one thing I could tell you, when I go to Shil Shabbos, the boys see me, they come running and tell me, this is my manal. I said, that's the greatest compliment you could get. I didn't want to see my manal on Shabbos. It was enough when I saw my cheder or my Rabbi. So that's what it is. So really the relationship that we need to have, that we want to have with our children, have to be, and we're trying it should be, is much deeper than just the surface of, hi, how was your day, what's going on? And even more so when we're dealing with our children that are struggling, that are out there. Therefore I feel that it's very important to understand there are certain things, even if we feel close to them, they're still not going to feel comfortable asking you or telling you. So I was trying to put together the last couple of months of what would be the most important questions these boys would want to ask their parents, and they just don't feel comfortable doing it. So again, Ba'as Yiddishkeit, Bachan Alte Kabula, alles is a 4 kasha. So that's what I decided to put into the 4 questions. The 4 Manishtana questions. I always say that on my Shabbos table, we have Pesach Seder every single Shabbos. My children could ask questions every Shabbos. They could ask any time. But Shabbos, by the meal, we try Kesfregen Kashas, all kinds of questions. It's a very good time. That's how we connect our children. That's how the Yiddishkeit is all about questions, all about Frek Favos, encourage questions. But we need to understand there's always going to be certain questions that a child would not want to ask a parent, even if they're very connected to them. How many times do we have children say, I had it ready. Once my daughter came to me, Tati, I need to talk to someone. I have a few things I want to discuss. I said, sure. I got her something. She didn't feel comfortable. Her therapist, whoever it was, came and told me what the questions were. To me, it was like, wow, big deal. But guess what? I respected it. I respected her privacy. I respected what was important to her. I think that these 4 questions that I'm going to enumerate now are the ones that are so important to them that if we are going to answer these questions before they even ask them, before we even ask them, oh, yeah, thank you. Someone showing me to put on the mic. We need to answer these questions before they ask them. That's basically what it is. I just want to give a quick introduction. In today's days we have these quotes running around. Everybody gets on the phone every day, inspirational quotes. There are many groups that you sign on and they send you. I always think it's too many. It's like, give me one quote, a good quote, and let me sit on it. Let me live with it at least 24 hours. Let me live with it. Let it. I want to absorb it. I want to let it saturate. Let it get into my system. But that's how it goes. We keep on hearing quotes and here and there. There was one quote that was circling around, and it caught my attention, and I'm living by it for the last couple of months. And I want to share that with you, and I think that that's what's going to help us understand the 4 questions, and then ultimately the 4 answers. The quote goes like this. Don't judge, be curious. Simple. Don't judge, be curious. Naturally, we judge things. We judge people around us. We judge situations. If someone came in and they look at you a certain way, in our head, we make assumptions. If we make an assumption, you just judged that person's action. You judged. Your child comes home and says, there's a new takuna in our chayde, in our school. We right away judge, a new thing, not allowed to wear this color sneaker, really? From now on, let's not judge, let's ask questions. You pick up a phone, you call up the principal. I'm very curious, why did you implement a new law, a new rule in this school? Most of the time, you might agree with them. You might say, wow, thank you for doing that. But naturally, we don't do that. We grow up, we constantly judge situations, we judge people around us, not after judging in favor or judging. It's just, we make assumptions and it becomes facts. Never let assumptions become facts. Our child behaves a certain way. They do something, they change a certain dress code. The girl decides to come in with blue hair. We make an assumption and we react right away to that assumption because we judged their action in a certain way, and we usually are wrong. We say, I'm so curious to know, why did he do that? If we ask questions why, we're inviting them to tell us, or they'll listen to us, so we'll be able to rationalize with them, or at least we'll change our mind and say, you know what, okay, I get it. I see where she's living in, where he's living in the life, and they need to be given the opportunity to talk. So the point is that if we constantly ask questions of people around us, our children, anybody, we are going to stop judging. And we stop judging, they'll ask us even more, our relationship will get deeper and deeper. Children, question number 1 that what I compiled, what I think that most kids would want to ask us, but they don't feel comfortable, is why do you think you need to understand me? From our perspective, we think we need to understand our child. We need to understand their journey. We need to understand where they're heading to. What do you do? We need to understand them. Guess what? They're made up from different things of you. Maybe they have your genes in certain parts. They had a different life, a whole new world that they grew up in, a very different chayde, different friends, different neighbors, different natures. They have a very different life. And sometimes they tell us, stop trying to figure out my life. What do they want? Figure out how you could help me go through my life. They want us to help them with their life, not that we should try to understand what is it that they are struggling with. Why are they doing it? We don't need to understand them. And ultimately, most of these kids tell me, my Tate gaat mich keinmal nicht verstehen. My parents are never going to understand me. So we need to get past that. So what's the answer for that question? And we have to initiate to say, my dearest child, I'm not trying to understand your journey. I'm trying to understand how can I help you go through your journey. And be curious. Ask questions. So, do you want me to answer you this time? When you come home and you slam the doors, Or when you say you're coming up 10 o'clock, and you walk into the house 1 o'clock and I can't sleep, I'm waiting for you, I don't know where you are. You ask them a question, do you understand? We need to understand something very clear over here. Our children are not ready to invest any time to make us feel comfortable. They're very selfish in that stage. When they go through this phase in their life, they're very, very selfish. They have their own life, they see themselves. And if we tell them, I don't need to understand you, I don't need to understand your journey, I think it's going to help them a lot. They're going to say, okay, so this question is over their mind. It's fine, my parents don't need to understand me, but they're here for me, they're trying to help me, they want to help me go through my life in the best way possible, go through my stages. The second question that most of the kids, I think, would want to ask us, and they can't tell it to us in our face, why do you need to show me that you're hurt? I want to tell you something. Most of the boys that I worked with in the last 15, 20 years, I'm going to tell you, they are so in pain that we are in pain, that the parents are in pain. These are usually the kids that have a lot of guilt in them. I know their vocabulary, the way they talk, they say, no, I don't care, I'm with them, all these kind of sprach that they say, but it's not true. They're the ones that care the most. They care so much. That's why they fell out of the system. That's why they were hurt when someone told them something wrong. That's why they have so much trauma in them from different events that they went through in their life. Because they do care. They do feel guilty. We don't need to tell it to them. And if we tell it to them, or if we even hint it to them, you're making me so much tzad. I can't take the pain you're giving us. You know that Tati, Mami are in so much pain, what you just did. You're going to put on this, you're going to put on an earring, you're going to put on a tattoo, you know how much pain we're going to be in? Do we really think this is going to change them? Or it's us needing to vent? If we need to vent, we need to have someone to talk to. Our children are never going to be our therapists. They know that you are hurt. Absolutely, good news. They know you're hurt. They know every single thing they do when it hurts you and how much it hurts you. But it hurts them so much that they're hurting you. But they can't resist. There's something in them that doesn't let them. They need to go through this stage. And there's something in their life that they need to go through now to feel alive. They need to go bungee jumping or take drugs, whatever it is that they're doing, or go speeding and risk their life. And they need to do it. They're struggling with themselves. They don't need us. They don't need to carry us as well. What they're saying is, Tati, Mami, I can't carry your pain as well. They're not going to tell you they're in pain. I mean, most of them. So the second question is, why do you need to show me that you're hurt? There's an old-fashioned thing in our life that we think that we tell someone, so guilt is going to really help. Yeah, this is going to make them. It's not going to help. It creates a mesach hamavdil. It creates a mechitza between us and them. So what do? We tell them, if they asked us, Tati, you hurt about something? If it does come out in conversation, you say, yes, it is. Yes. None of your business. Okay, I had you. I'm ready to carry whatever it takes. It's not about me. It's about you. I'm here for you. I'm here to help you go through your journey. It's not about me. It's not about my hurt. And if this comes into conversation as a by the way, that you don't have to worry about my pain for your journey, you know how much easier it is for them, how much quicker they're going to go through their journey? They have so much pain and so much guilt that we are suffering because of them. Number 3, the third question, the dritte kasha is, what's the third question? Why are you comparing me to others? I know what ran through most of your mind when I said it. I never compare my kids to others. I understand that every child needs to be their own shayvit. There's something much deeper in this question. I find that most of the boys that I worked with throughout the years, they always felt that they need to be compared to someone else, to the older brother, the older sister, the better sister, the neighbor's child. In shul, that guy's kids is much better than you. And many times the kids make it up in their own mind. They think that their parents are comparing them to others. But even that, if we could help them and say, you are you, and say it again and again every time you have a conversation with them, just make sure, I don't need to compare you to anybody. Before they ask you this question, just say it. This should be part of your vernacular, part of the way you talk to them. You say, I never in my life cared about other people, how they are. I never compared you. I'm not trying to compare you. You are you. And every Yid is a us in the Sefer Torah, and you don't need all the oisies in the whole Sefer Torah to look the same. We all know, right? Every us in the Torah has another neshama. We are a one big Sefer Torah because everybody is different. And we need to tell it to them again and again. You know, the teenagers, you need to tell them, and forget, we tell them again. I told them already, tell them again. Anashmoida. We all know the famous word, Alav Avecho. Put on top of your heart, not Bil Vavechu. We say, V'haftas Hashem Elokecha Alavavchu. Alav Avecho, you should put it on your heart. You should put it on your heart. What do you put it on your heart? You should put it in your heart. It should say Bil Vavechu. But one of the tzaddikim said, you put it on the heart. When the heart is closed, you put it on top of the heart. Again, another vart, another gittin vart. One day, the day that we're all waiting for, the heart is going to open, and everything we put in is going to fall in. All the quotes are going to register. Everything's going to register. Mitzvah Hashem. Hopefully very soon by all of us. But what are we trying to do? We are trying to accumulate a system in the house, in the relationship between the parents and the children, where the children don't feel that my parents are my enemy. My parents are not the ones that are trying to get me to like others. My parents understand me. I don't need to carry my parents' hurt. I don't need to be compared to anybody else. My parents don't even try to understand me. All they're trying to do is help me help myself. I think when we understand this message, these three questions, I think what's going to be, we're going to come into a place where the relationship is going to speed up much faster and much deeper. They're going to feel much easier to tell us things that bother them. There's so many things bothering them. These are the three things that mamash bother them. What's the fourth question? I need to give a tiny introduction before I'm saying the fourth question. Yeah?
If a child is at a stage where he's sort of chosen the way of his life and he feels comfortable with it,
right.
So he doesn't really want to be questioned too much.
Right.
And he doesn't want to be bothered or really get into conversation. He just wants to be accepted the way how he is at this moment of time.
Exactly. This is exactly what I'm saying. Yes. He wants to be. Yeah.
So is there any need to bring it up as a conversation or a topic of conversation to go into, in other words, to kind of, like we as parents were taught over here in this whole conference basically that
right.
acting out their pain and their way of life is a way of saying there's something behind it, right?
Right.
It's just the result. They're calling out because they're acting out of pain.
Right.
Now, for instance, if you were to challenge your kid and you say, you realize that we're in pain, and he may very well look at you and say, what right have you got to be in pain? You decided to be like your father and his father the past 10, 15 generations.
Right.
Choose my own identity. And what right do you have to be in pain, per se, if I've chosen? I'm not talking about when they're doing harm, in physical sense, doing drugs and really getting some. Assuming that he's okay, he's settling, he's working, he's earning, and he's just living his own life, not being a Shloime Ehrlich anymore.
Right.
So I chose that way.
Exactly. You see, it's hard. We could really talk after the Shi, but I'm trying to flow because it's recorded also.
Is it necessary? Okay, my question is very pointed. Is it necessary, or is it kedai when you want to communicate that you raise this as an issue where you want to try to sort of say, let's get beyond the surface, let's scratch up, get.
No, you have to wait. You have to wait for it. Don't try to. That's my suggestion. No, don't. Let it flow. Let them go through their stage, and it's going to happen. What we need to do is give them tools and show them we're here for them. And we're not here to. Obviously we're not judging them, and we're not trying to compare to others, and we're not trying to understand their journey. What we're trying to tell them, essentially what we're doing, what we should do, is give them the understanding that we are here to help them with their journey, even if we don't understand it. We don't need to understand. We don't need to get into their brain. It's okay. That's what I'm saying. I just want to say that when Moshe Rabbeinu, when he was inaugurated, quickly.
Sorry, I just find that after a while we're sick and tired of talking about it.
What is it?
Talk about it anymore. Just an answer to him. I find like they're sick and tired of talking about it. They don't want to talk about it.
Exactly. They didn't even want to talk about it. So when Moshe Rabbeinu was the first time when he met up, when his first Nevi, when he spoke to the Eibishter, we all know was the Sneh. One of the most interesting parts when Moshe Rabbeinu was called when the Eibishter Geretz to Moshe Rabbeinu was telling him, I want you to become the leader of Klal Yisrael, to go help me take the Yidden out of Mitzrayim. We know the Sneh, the Eibishter Vasneh Nani Ikol. Hashem told him, Shal neolechu me'al raglechu. Take off your shoes. There's many different reasons. Why did Hashem take you to take off your shoes? Fine, Admas Kodesh, it's a holy place, you take off your shoes, I get it. But what's the message? Why was it written in the Torah in such a way that we need to understand what's happening here? Moshe Rabbeinu was raised in Bais Paroi, Malchus. Then he married Kohen Midian's daughter. And Hashem told him, if you want to go out and help your brothers, you need to feel the pebbles on the floor. Take off your shoe. Step number 1. You walk in the street without shoes, feel it. Get into the blotter. Get down in the blotter. They was verstehen, Klal Yisrael, in pain in Mitzrayim, in their most horrifying place where Klal Yisrael was, the first major trauma that we went through as a nation. You need to take off your shoes. You need to feel the Mistaragan and the blotter zusammen mit jenem. This is the only way you could really understand and start to become a leader for Klal Yisrael. How much blood are we going in when we deal with our children? They bring into our house so many blotter that we did not want to see in our house. We didn't want to deal with this. We wanted to create a house where there's mamish. You don't even feel the pebbles on the floor. You want to have the most comfortable shoes. So what is it? Hashem says, I sent you a neshama, and I want you to deal with it. Take off your shoes. Go a bisla around in the blotter together with them. Go into the mud. Feel the pebbles. That's the only way you'll be able to help them. That's the only way you'll be able to connect to them. Yes, you want to ask something?
Yeah, just the first thing you said was that.
Why do you need to understand me?
Why do you need to understand them? So
Correct.
I've had this reaction many times from my daughter that, like, when I ask such questions, like, what's going on, how can I help you, whatever,
Right.
she gives me the silent treatment for a few weeks.
Right. Okay, that's very common. That's good. That means she loves you. She needs you. But really what she's at...
It doesn't seem to really be what she wants to hear.
Again, we're not trying... Maybe at that time she felt like you're trying to invade her privacy. You're trying to get there. But you're saying, you go through you are you, you're going through your journey. I don't need to understand your journey. But if there's anything I could do to help you, I'm here for you. That's it. I don't think she'll reject that. That's something that they're going to take from us. You see, I want to say something, a gedank. We say every single day by davening, we say, Burichat Hashem Elokeinu Melech Ha'olam, the king of the world. Imagine if there was never such a thing as a king on planet Earth. If there were democracy from Uda Marish until today, there would never be a king. There would never be such a concept where there is a person that's in power. Usually most of kings were narcissists that are trying to dictate and create power and wealth and everything that they wanted. And the whole oilam was in their hands, and they had all the abilities to give us and to take away from us. If there wouldn't be such a concept as a Koenig, as a Melech, would we ever say, Elokeinu Melech Olam? We would never use that phrase because it wouldn't exist. What happens to so many kids today? They never heard such thing as Melech, as a Koenig. How could they relate to that? Uvini Malkaini. And what happens to a child, theoretically speaking, would be raised in a little town where there's only single mothers, raising their kids alone. And these kids would never be able to say Uvini or Malkaini. They don't know what a father is. They never saw a father. They go to Cheder, and the Rebbe says over there, the Eibisch says, Tate, was hat Rachmunas of dich? Was hat Tate? Hat Rachmunas? Who? Was there anybody out there for me? A father, a mama kid. Besides Tate. Would a child like that ever be able to say Burich Ato Hashem Uvini Malkaini? Father, Tate, Melech? Where does that come in? So what happens if someone does know of such a thing as a Melech, but doesn't have enough information on a Melech? Fine, we do know this. In our history, there's enough. This Human and the Achashvairish, we know what a Melech is. But what is a father? Essentially, father, mother. If a child had a father that betrayed him 100 times in his life, you think he could relate to Hashem Avini Malkaini? His essence, his whole being, does not know what the word Tata meant. That a father and a mother would go on fire for their kids, without judging, selflessly giving for the child. A healthy mother, a healthy father gives to the child. We give them for the second they're born. The mothers give before they're born. Even before they're born. What are we doing? We're giving them and giving them. So now we could relate. Our father, so what would be, imagine if a human would be born on a tree. Like a frucht, like a paida. It would be such a thing that on the trees we are all 9 months hanging on a tree, and then you come up and say, okay, I'm a human. This tree gave me all my nurturing. It gave leaves, it watched me from the sun. It brought up from the earth the water and nutrients. It gave me everything I need. You come off that tree and you look around and you say, this tree, there's many other trees. So someone created the whole world and you want to connect to that someone. So how would your bracha look like? Barichatu Eitz Shalo Eitzim, the tree of all trees. Wouldn't we talk to Hashem that way? The Eibush is the boim von alle Baimer. That's what we would say. But because whatever a tree was to me, that's what Hashem is to me. And this is not only the father and the mother. This is the Rebbe and Chayder. This is our Menahalim. As many different psychologists used to say, that our first God is our father, our mother is our first God. The Eishta Eibishter. And if that wasn't perfect, the person has a big issue being Oved Hashem for the rest of their life. They're missing the understanding that you need to surrender to someone that cares for you. That when your father and your mother, when we tell our child, our 6-year-old, 7-year-old, we tell them, we're going out to the doctor. If the child knows that the father and the mother are here for me forever, the child trusts, they surrender. The mother said, it's the best thing, go take a shot, okay? They take a shot. It's hard for them, and they see how the mother cries, but the mother says, you still need to take the shot. You still need to go to the doctor. Why? We surrender to someone that cares for us, that someone that takes care of us forever. We need to surrender to Hashem. If we don't have a healthy surrender to our father, mother, our malamed, our teacher, our principal, or many other people in our community that mean to us so much, or if one of them betrayed us, or if one of them violated us, if one of them promised us something and they're not going to do it. I had 2 days ago a Bucherim that comes to me from one of the yeshivas a month that sent me a few of the Bucherim, the regular Bucherim. You should just hear their issues. He tells me, the Manal hat sie gesagt that by the end of the week, if we learn this amount, he's going to take us to a trip. This is the 3rd time and he didn't follow through. I called up the Manal. And I gave it to him over his head. It's gerade ganz a normale Mensch. I thought so, because he's the one that's sending me. He understands that a bucher sometimes needs to talk to someone outside the yeshiva. You had to hear his response. He's lucky I wasn't near him. Mamash geherig. I said, this kid is going to have an issue connecting to Hashem also. It's not conscious, it's subconscious. If someone was raised in a lifestyle where they don't know such a concept that you could totally surrender to your caretaker, which could be your tree, kidding, could be the Eibishter, your parents, your father, your mother, your malamed, whoever is out there for you, you have an issue connecting to Hashem. So sooner or later, somehow our children have an issue relating to Hashem. So what's our job? Is to give them such selfless love, and again and again and again. People are asking me the whole time throughout this whole Shabbos and every Shabbos that we're here. When? Wie lang noch? I'm giving for my child for 5 years already, and he's still in the basement, still doesn't want to come out, doesn't see the world. My child is still doing. I'll tell you when their subconscious is going to heal, when the subconscious is going to know that there is such a thing, that someone could be 100% selfless, and someone is here for me, even if I'm embarrassing that someone, my own parents, and they're still here for me. That's the moment. We're waiting for that moment where it gives a click in their brain. In Shabbos Mezbish, I don't know how many of you were there, but I said a story that right before I was bashert, I spoke to the manal of my son's yeshiva, and he told me a story. He said, I want to tell you a story, and I repeated the Shabbos Mezbish. I want to say it here, it's quick. He said like this, he said he has an uncle that's a magister in a yeshiva. For many years, his uncle's already elderly, and he said that there was a boy, a buchadel that was mamish impossible, 20, 25 years ago, and the manal threw out that buchadel. That buchadel left yeshiva, cut off his pious, threw off the couple, the end of it. This manal tells me that his uncle was so hurt for that bucher, he called him up on Friday and he wanted to tell him, ich bedu for dich, come to me. The bucher so ignored this phone call. He called him again the next Friday, ignored this phone call. His uncle called him 20 years. Every single Friday he called, he ignored his phone call. 20 years later, I don't know the exact number, it could be 18 or 22, but a long time. This Bocher changed this. He was already in a man, then he was already. He changed his life and he came back to Hashem. Mamash like a switch. He said, if that could be a mensch, should be so selfless, 20 years. This guy has children and he's still calling me. I know why he's calling. I know why he's calling. It clicked. Unfortunately, it took 20 years. There was once a Lubavitcher shliach, a few bucherim that work in a nursing home. And in that nursing home, they were always trying to put together minyan. They had like 8, 9 frima yidden over there, and they always take. So there was one fry yid, whenever they asked him, to come to minyan, he used to get angry and scream at them and yell at them, don't ask me again. One day, this Lubavitcher bucher that's rolling him back in his wheelchair to his room, and he asked him, you don't want to come to daven anymore, we're not going to ask you, but why are you so angry? He says, let me tell you something. Open up my drawer. He opens up the top drawer of his in his room. There's a pair of tefillin, very old pair of tefillin. He says, I want to tell you a story about this tefillin. Well, you have tefillin? You're all your life. He says, I was in the Holocaust. I was a very tall child. Mengele Yamach Shemai took my father to one side and sent me along, although I was 12 years old. He thought I was older. He said he was in the barracks together with his father, and his father was an Ehrlich Yid, a Polish Yid, and he wanted to put him on tefillin by his bar mitzvah. He found out that the next building, the next barrack, whatever it's called, there's a Yid over there that was just nifta and he had tefillin hidden. So he wanted to get that tefillin to put it on for his son. This Alti Yid says for me. My father wanted me to put on tefillin. And he risked his life. In the middle of the night, he ran in the dark. He said, I was looking out of the window, I guess the crack, whatever it was, and I saw my father go to the other side and he has the tefillin in his pocket. He came running back and out walks the Nazi. And the Nazi said, Jidak, what are you doing outside at night? What do you have in your pocket? And he saw the tefillin. He said, he shot my father, killed my father. My father wanted me to put on tefillin and he got killed for that. You think that's Hashem? You think I'm ever going to put on tefillin? You think I'm ever going to daven in my life? And this Lubavitcher bucher says, I'm sorry. I would never ask you again. I understand you. It's way deeper than what we thought. I'm sorry. A few weeks later, there was another Yid that was a good friend, they became friends over there in the nursing home, that he had yurtzeit, and they couldn't find the 10th dominion. So the Bacher went over to this Yid and he said, I would never ask you again, but he's your friend. You don't have to daven, just sit in the lunchroom, you're doing him a favor, not me. Come, be the saint of Minyan. He said, I'll go. But you're never asking me again. I'll go. He wheels him towards the lunchroom where the davening. He says, wheel me back to my room. Let's take my tefillin. I'm going to put on tefillin. But this is the last time in my life. I'm going already. I'll do it. He put him on tefillin for the first time in his life. Puts him on his tefillin. This Yid was sitting there and he was crying like never before. Everybody left already and he's crying and mamash. And then he told this Lubavitcher bucher to help him take off his tefillin. So this bucher asked him, what happened? This is something that we could take home. He says, I want to tell you something. I was so stuck with the fact that my father got killed. I was so angry at Hashem. I never took a moment to think how my father loved me so much for something that he believed in. He wanted to do it for me. He was ready to risk his life. Now I connected to my father the first time. I was able to connect to the second part of the story. For the next few weeks, he put on tefillin every single day, and he was nifta right after that. And his children came to the Chaver and they said that this was the happiest time in my father's life. He died the Ehrlich Yid, died the Baal Shiva. Again, he was Baal Shiva all his life. A Yid like this, we don't judge. This is something that we want to get to a place that sometimes our children are so stuck on something, we don't know what it is. So we give them this unconditional, we go again and again and again and again and again and again. There is no time limit, there's no expiration date, we don't know how long it's going to take. And guess what? It's not even our business. We need to do our part. It's a famous word, it's said in many different names, but I know it comes from the Baal Shem Tov. You got to do. You don't have to accomplish. You have to do yours. We are doing our part. And having said that, the Baal Shem Tov said another moedik about it. It says in Tehillim, Hashem tzilcha. Hashem is your shadow. Whatever you do, your shadow does. So Baal Shem Tov says, whatever you do for something else, for someone else, is Shemaim. That's what you don't judge anybody, Hashem doesn't judge you. We are doing for our children, even if they're spiting us and doing again and again and again. Whatever they do, all of us have different stories, but Atzad Shuvah Sheben Shadar Kalazik. And what do we do? Unconditional love, patience, and give. You don't give in order to get results. The results will come, it's going to happen, whatever it is. It's just easier to do it if you're not waiting for results. Do it because this is the right thing for a tati mami to do for their child. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm speaking now, but I'm in the same matzav. I also have a child that I'm dealing with. I'm not some coming to lecture people. I live it. And I deal with so many children like this and parents that deal with such children. I know how hard it is. I know what it's doing. I know that it's destroying. We wanted a total different Shabbos table. We wanted a different house. We didn't want to bring in the blotter. But guess what? Hashem says, take off your shoes. You want to be a leader? You want to deal with your kids? Hashem gave you this neshama. Take off your shoes, walk on the pebbles, feel it. That's the moment that we become our own Moshe Rabbeinu. The salvation, the Eibshe Elf is Akim Avi Schneller. But this is not the goal. The goal is to be there for them and to put in all the koiches we could, and we don't need to wait for results. It's just going to make our journey easier, and it's probably going to bring it faster, because we're naturally going to say different words. We're naturally going to react to them different. If we're not waiting for results. If we want them to change already, they feel it. These children, usually, they feel vibes from across the room. These children are so in tune. And this is the reason why they fell over the first place. Because they know if their Rabbi, if their teacher, their tati, if someone around them was a little bit of a hypocrite, wasn't sincere, wasn't honest. They smelled it from the other side. They couldn't be makabel from a magachir. One of the Bucherim once told me, the magachir gave us a whole drusha, chassidus yeshiva. A Bucher tut sharang in a restaurant, bekauft sich. So a Bucher said, I can't take the yeshiva, the food. So next door there was we got the sharan, a chassidus Bucher walked around. The next day he sees the magachir in that restaurant. What exactly did that do? There was once a study in Etzisrul in Bar Ilan University. They have a section where they train people, they get people to stop smoking. And they give them all the facts. They have like big screens, how lungs look like. It's like an 8-week process, whatever it is. 99%, I don't know the exact number of people that go through that class never smoke again. So they wanted to do a little study. They took the teacher should smoke while he's doing it. And I smoke, I'm telling you facts. He was telling them the whole facts and he was showing them the zelbezach that hundreds of people have quit smoking. He smoked, there was mamash, I don't know the numbers, but it was a tiny percent of the class actually stopped smoking. Why is that? Is it facts? After all the facts, if the teacher that's teaching it to me is nicht echt, doesn't really mean it, it's not going to go. It's not logical. It doesn't make sense. Because if it's logic. So my teacher's an idiot. But he's smoking, he's ruining his lungs, he wants to die early, fine, and all the facts that he was told. No, it's not going to go. Even for adults, when I'm talking to little kids. Kolchkin, even more so. Little children, teenagers. The echtkeit, the emeskeit is the greatest thing. I remember the times when I grew up, Mamash have to finish, they showed me I have to finish. When I grew up, 100 years ago, okay. It was definitely a different world. There was this whole idea of respect of parents to children. The whole idea was we weren't allowed to know my mother's name or their age, Chaz Shulam, or you remember those? It was because they felt the only way they could help you and connect to you is if you, to raise you if you have respect. And the only way you can respect someone if you're not close enough to them. It's nicht anymore. Our children today, all the neshamas from today's generation, they want the real truth, the emes, b'shim levishim, nothing. They want to know exactly. If I could tell my child, and I always do it, I share with them my shortcomings. It doesn't take away their respect. They respect me even more. Tati's auch human. Mami's auch human. Yeah, I didn't have to spill out to him every avodah I have and every thought I have. But if I had a shortcoming, I yelled at someone on the phone and I told my kids I shouldn't have yelled at the guy. It was really not good. That's not something to do, but there was a reason why I was upset at that person. What's wrong with that? Now Tati's perfect. Tati's perfect. Mommy's perfect. The Magid is perfect. One of the Bucharim told me that his Magid talks to him. This Bucher is a real feeler. He's this thinker's feeler. He's a real feeler. He's an emotional driven being. In the Haimish Yeshiva, he's naturally being bullied on a daily basis. Smart kid, everything, but he's just a feeler. And he tells me that this Magid always tells him, "Das Arbeit of dein Kas, das Arbeit of dein Kas." He says this Magid is the biggest Kassen in the whole system. He always, if this Magid would have Seichel, he's a 70-year-old, I don't know how old he is, but if it would be me, I would say, yeah, ich habe auch struggled with them. I still struggle with it. I'm much better. I'm older than you, so I worked in it a lot. This is the things that worked for me. This didn't work for me. I want to help you get over it. All of us have to work on something. You think he would respect me less? They want to see us natural. They want to see us real. They want to see that we are also struggling with something. Faket. In other words, they want the real truth. They want it to be, tell it to me the way it is. Don't fake to me. Yeah.
What's the fourth question?
The fourth question. Good. That's the most important question. Huh? Yes, I'll summarize it. I want to say the fourth question, then I'll summarize the sheet. The Feder Kasha is, would you ever forgive me? Can you forgive me now while I'm still hurting you? Can I have an open check that every single time until I finish my journey, I'm going to be hurting you so many times. Can you forgive me now? As we said before, these are the children that are so in tune and so real and so guilty, and so they have all these emotions and everything that's in them. This is one of the greatest blockages for moving on. You know the spiral? The Galgal HaChoizer. I call it Galgal HaChoizer. What's the Galgal HaChoizer? The wheel that keeps on coming back. If someone feels guilty for doing something, they're in a bad mood, and if they're in a bad mood, they're going to end up doing something wrong again. So when does it end? When you stop feeling guilty. If we tell our children, as by the way, it's always all these questions, all these answers as a by the way. It's not like, oh, I'm sure you have this question I want to tell you. No, don't do that. Just bring in these 4 concepts. And you say, I forgive you, Shefela. They need to hear it from us as many times as us men need to tell their wives, I'm sorry. The same amount of times. I'm sorry. Came up late. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. I'm sorry, you're right. And we mean it, by the way. The men mean it. This is the amount, as many times as they need to hear from us. I forgive you. They know they're hurting us. It's not a question if they're hurting us or not. And as we said before, we don't need to tell them that they're hurting us. We're not even allowed to hint to them that they're hurting us. So the last question is, and the main things that they need to know, if they know it and they feel it, my parents forgive me. They hear from me, they understand that this is my journey. They're here to help me. They're not here to understand me, but they're here to help me go through my journey. And they even forgive me. In other words, they love me anyway. Unconditional love. They forgive me for hurting them. And they know I'm going to hurt them again. Because I'm still in that spiral, that teenage spiral. This is going to help them get over it so much faster and so much easier. And this is the question that they want to ask us 100 times a day. Tati, please forgive me. They're not going to tell it to you. Some of us are lucky we get it once in 3 months, if we're lucky. But really, every single thing they do, I have this girl that's walking around, she comes from such a shiny mishpucha, and I really don't like that word, but we'd say a prestigious family in that community. And this girl walks out with a miniskirt, and she doesn't know. She doesn't know that her mother can't take it. She doesn't know that she's hurting the whole family, and her sisters in school are ashamed to tell their friends that this is They don't know. They know all of this. You think they don't feel hurt that they're hurting you? They can't resist. It's like this. What's the difference between a haim and a human? A raccoon loves fish. In Muncie we have raccoons. And you want to catch a raccoon, you put out the trap, you put inside a can of tuna. There's cameras, you could see, people have cameras in the house, they see the raccoon walking around and crying. He knows he's going to be caught when he goes in there, but he can't resist because he needs the fish. He goes in there, he eats it up, and then he gets angry, but too late. He's in his trap. An animal cannot resist their temptations. He knows he's going to be caught. A person could. What is the Bahaima? The Bahaima is the nefesh habahamis, is the emotional system and the physical system from us. When our children are going through this stage, the neshama part, the moich part is sleeping. At that time, they can't resist. They know they're doing wrong. They're beating themselves up every day. Most of them are not going to forgive us to tell us that this is what they're doing. When they go to bed, it hurts them. Why did I have to do this again? So they go through that pain the whole time. Why did I have to hurt my parents again? It mamish hurts them that they're hurting us, but they can't resist. At this time, their nefesh habahamis is warped. It's very powerful, and it's telling them to just get into that cage again. Never tell your kids, I told you so. I'm going to end with that. Never tell your kids, I told you so. And just the 4 questions again, someone asked me to say it again. Our child would want to ask us, why do you need to understand me? Trust me, trust my journey. Number 1. Number 2, why do you need to show me that you are hurt? It makes my cycle a much longer journey. It hurts me. You don't need to hint to me that you're hurt. Number 3, why do you need to compare me to others? In other words, constantly tell me that you understand that I'm an individual. I'm not just a number, child number 6 in the family. You're my ben yuchid. You're my bas yichida. Every child is my ben yuchid, and every child has their own journey. I'm never comparing you to someone else. We have to constantly throw these words into the conversations. I'm not comparing you. Number 4, I forgive you. I forgive you now. I'm going to forgive you even what you're going to do. And I'm always here for you. And the Abshel is down, Tak Hashem Tzilcha, that Hashem should do back to us. He sees the way what we do for our kids, He should do for us. Good Shabbos.